Computer. All right. I think we're recording. Let's see. Perfect. All right. I'm going to go full screen. Daniel, if you can please also record the session and then admit people as they join us. It's right at the top of the hour. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining our session today, an introduction to proven and tested search engine optimization strategies. We're basically going to talk about how we get qualified search traffic to a website. Real quick about myself, my name is Chris Rolfe. I'm the founder and president of Boulder SEO Marketing. We're right here in beautiful Boulder, Colorado. I'm originally, as you can hear, I have an accent, moved to Boulder, Colorado back in '96 for about 6 months, met my future ex-wife, still here, remarried, got a bunch of kids, absolutely love it here. Big soccer player, skiing, mountain biking, hiking, all that good stuff. Man, I got into SEO about 25 years ago, right at the beginning, and I'm now international keynote speaker. I speak globally about the topic, and it's sort of like a hobby turned into a profession. Enough about me. Oh yeah, when I don't work, I love to surf and ski and do all kinds of cool stuff. Daniel, tell us about you.
Yeah, just a quick intro. I'm originally from Brazil, but I went to the University of Miami. After that, I moved to Los Angeles, where I opened up a full-service digital agency. And a big part of what we did there was manage website design and development for clients. And a big part of what SEO is today is what happens with the website. And that's a lot of what I bring to the table is how does web design and experience on the website work with SEO and vice versa. I'm also here in Boulder, Colorado, and I love it here. I've been here for about 3 years, teaching my kids how to ski now, and it's just been an amazing winter. So you'll hear from me later a little bit more on some points, but that's a quick intro on me.
Cool. All right, onwards. We're going to try to cover a lot of ground in this 75-minute webinar. So it's going to be very fast paced. We want to pass on a lot of useful information that you can hopefully put to work right away. If you do need help, we do accept new clients. So feel free to reach out if you'd like to talk shop. So we'll talk about fundamentals. We're going to talk about keyword research, on-page SEO, content marketing, CRO, conversion rate optimization. Once we get people to our website, how do we get them to do what we need them to do? We'll talk about a little bit of technical SEO, and then off-page optimization, a great strategy to get more people to your website. And then we'll have hopefully a little bit of time for Q&A. Yeah, and okay, so maybe you'll not become an expert in 75 minutes, but at least I think you'll know what you don't know, and you have a way to get this project started and how to get more people to your website. All right, so what is this webinar all about? Well, we're going to show you, what do your potential customers type into Google, right? A lot of people, when we do webinars and keyword research, they just think, this is what people type into Google, but there's actually a method to the madness. We have tools where we can figure out exactly how many people on a monthly basis are searching for these keywords, right? In this case, SEO packages for small business. It's called a long tail keyword. We talk about this later on this presentation. There's 260 people in the US searching for this keyword. The intent is very high. I want to get those people to our website because we do offer SEO packages for small business. And then just for kicks, this is how much it would cost to get somebody to your website for this keyword through pay-per-click Google ads. It's very expensive. So if you can get people to your website through organic search, that's the gift that keeps on giving. And as you can see here, talking about the gift that keeps on giving, SEO packages for small business. We have to beat about 10 million other things indexed in Google. And if you do a good job, ta-da, right there, that's the Boulder SEO marketing website. It's an in-depth guide that we wrote about small business SEO packages. Everything you need to know. This thing converts extremely well. We're right at the top. So this is the magic of SEO. This is what we're going to talk about today. All right, Daniel, why don't you briefly talk about, there's only so much you can do with SEO. Why do we need a good content management system for our website?
Yeah, and then, so things change a lot over time. But, one of the things that we've seen is that WordPress still seems to be one of the content management systems that generates the best results for SEO. And that's done for, a lot of different reasons. And recently, even Google has now worked on a plugin for WordPress, which means, yes, Google likes WordPress. WordPress also gives us the ability as developers to go in there and have complete freedom to clean up the code and put information in there to make sure that Google really understands what we're doing. Whereas in other, content management systems that are easier to use, like Wix and Squarespace, it's easier to build a website, but a lot of times you get a little bit limited on the flexibility that you have to adapt the website to make sure that it's 100% search engine optimized. So if we have a choice, we'll definitely move forward with WordPress. We've seen a lot of great results with that platform.
Absolutely. And by the way, if you have just joined this presentation now, we are recording the webinar, and everybody who signed up for the webinar will receive the link to the recording, assuming that everything goes well from a technical standpoint. All right. Also, COVID-19 threw us a curveball. We used to host these in-person SEO workshops here in the Denver and Boulder, Colorado area. And, this page ranked extremely well for the search term SEO class Denver, SEO training Denver, etc. So if you are in a similar situation, don't just abandon pages like that. Give people an option to sign up for something else, such as this webinar. And I mentioned this earlier. We have, I think, 420 people signed up for this webinar. So definitely, take advantage of the SEO juice that, certain pages already have accumulated. All right. So getting people to a website can be very expensive, right? In this case, SEO training Denver. Check this out. Denver SEO training, $8 at the minimum. $21 on the higher end, right? If you do pay per click services, Google Ads. So if we can get people to our websites or web pages organically, truly is the gift that keeps on giving. That there's nothing better than that. Also, people that get to your website through organic search, they're usually better qualified audiences, right there. You're looking at Google Keyword Planner, which is a great keyword research tool. I'm going to show you a few keyword research tools that are free or freemium later on in this presentation. All right. So win this game. We're going to talk about this obviously in this presentation, but the more real estate you can take up in the Google search engine results pages, the better, right? We do have methods that we deploy in order to take up as much space on page number one as possible. So as you can see there, for the search term SEO training Denver, we got the first 2 organic search results. Then that's a competitor that also offers SEO classes here in Denver. But then check this out. It's a LinkedIn showcase page and an about.me page.
Chris, I'm still looking at the landing page for the Boulder SEO marketing. I'm not sure.
Oh boy. Let me see what's going on here. What is going on here? Can you see now?
No, I'm still looking at the half-day search engine optimization training landing page.
Oh no, technical issues. Let me, I'll stop sharing for a second.
Yeah, and then start again.
I'll share again. All right, how about now? Can you see my the presentation?
Not yet. It says it's about to start sharing screen. Can somebody else see it? No, I don't think so. If you put it.
No.
No.
Okay. Hey Daniel, why don't you? Sorry about that. I guess a technical glitch here. Daniel, if you can share your screen and just go to the last slide.
Yeah. Go ahead and stop sharing your screen, then I can start on my end. All right. Okay. Let me see. What slide are you on here?
There's like win the game. Go up, up, up.
Win the game right here. All right, that's the one.
Beautiful. Yeah. So yeah, as I said, all right. So SEO Training Denver. Click, please. Next click. So we own the top 2 organic search results. Then we get a competitor there. Click. Course horse. Click, Daniel. And then again, click.
Oh, I got the little pop-ups coming up here.
We optimized a LinkedIn showcase page and an about.me page to take up real estate on page number 1. So we'll talk about this later on in the off-page optimization portion of this training. But basically, obviously, the more real estate you own on page number 1, the more successful you'll be in getting people to your website. Next slide. All right, and as you can see here, I mentioned that earlier, for this webinar, we actually picked up another few, I think 20 people click. So just through organic search and through the Eventbrite platform, helping promote the event. All right, next slide. All right, let's talk about SEO fundamentals. Next. And oh, best place to hide a dead body. All right, I think you guys saw it. Click. Click. Right there, it is on page number 2 of Google. Nobody goes page number 2 of Google, right? Click, please. This is where the magic happens. You need to be in the, oh, Daniel, you can hear me, right? Can everybody hear me? Somebody just said they cannot hear me.
No, we can hear you.
Oh, excellent, thanks so much. Cool. Yeah, so you need to be in the top 3 to 4 organic search results. Most people, about 80%, actually click on the top 3 to 4 organic search results. So this is where you need to be. All right, next. SEO takes time. This is not going to happen overnight. We tell our clients that, hey, you know, from the beginning of the project until you see results, it will depend on many things. But usually, you know, Daniel, what do you think? Anywhere from like 2 months on the very short end to usually about 4 months.
Yeah, that's about right. I mean, it depends on how many what we call low-hanging fruit opportunities, right? If you have some really great opportunities on page 2, getting those to page 1, depending on what we need to do, sometimes 2 months that happens. And, you know, if we're working with a website that absolutely is starting from the ground up, then a lot of times it's at least 4 months. You know, sometimes it's even further into the future to really get, you know, SEO. So it is a long-term strategy.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a quick win, this is not it, right? Then you got to do pay-per-click, Google Ads. But SEO truly is the gift that keeps on giving. So if you're in it for the long term, highly recommend implementing a powerful organic SEO strategy. Next. All right, good news and bad news. We do have a little bit of time together. It's nowhere near to cover everything that you need to know. I used to host a 3-day SEO clinic here in the Denver area. Obviously that ended with COVID, and still after the 3rd day, I felt like, I barely touched the tip of the iceberg. So I encourage you, keep on reading, educate yourself, attend webinars like this. There's so much to learn. Next. All right. Also, we'll talk about algorithm updates in a second, but this is the, change is the only constant thing with SEO. Things change all the time. Google has to combat spam, people that want to game the system. So this changes every day. It's not a thing that you can set it and forget it. You need to hack away on this every week, every month. Daniel, a quick word about the, how this stuff changes.
Yeah, no, it's consistently changing, and the reason it's changing, it's for a good reason, right? Because Google is always updating the way that they rank pages to make sure that people stop playing the system and gaming the system, and to make sure that more and more better results are coming up as search engines. So as an agency, or even as a owner of the website, you always need to be kind of up to date in terms of what is Google looking for, to make sure that you're applying those things to the website.
Right on. Next. All right, so let's quickly explain the algorithm. If you type something into Google, for example, international SEO training, next, Google will process this search term through its software script known as the algorithm, consisting of about 250 main ranking signals, potentially thousands of sub-ranking signals. Next, you can place all of these ranking signals onto 5 pillars: the technical aspect of SEO, the functionality of your website, and then you'll talk about that a little bit later in this presentation. Then on-page SEO, everything that we can do physically on the website. Off-page, what I showed earlier with LinkedIn showcase pages, about.me pages. Again, we'll cover that a little bit later. And then, love it or hate it, social media marketing is an important part of SEO. And then, of course, content marketing, storytelling. There is no SEO without content. We'll talk about this later in more depth. Next. All right, so essentially, the better you address all of these ranking signals, you sort of build your digital credit score. Click, please. What you see here is my credit score from back in February of last year. Refinanced our house. I have a pretty decent credit score. We got a really good rate. Same thing applies to your digital credit score. The better you comply with all these ranking signals, the better your chance that your website is going to rank high in the search engines, and that you're going to stay up there for the foreseeable future. Next. All right. If you are trying to game the system, or if you're trying to cheat, it's really not a good idea. I don't do it because Google will catch up, and they will potentially penalize your website, and it could be devastating, as for this website that lost about 70 or 80% of their organic search traffic. Next. All right, and next, please. So there is a pretty important algorithm update that happened not too long ago. It's the EAT algorithm update. It's all about showing your expertise, proving that you're an authority in your space and that you're trustworthy. If you can do that through digital means, so that Google recognizes that, you will be doing well. So I speak globally about SEO and digital marketing. I frequently get invited to speak at conferences. Whenever I get invited, if it's a good fit, I do take the opportunity, because they will list you as a presenter. They potentially write about you. We're going to do a press release, etc. this is an amazing way to improve your SEO through EAT. I hope that makes sense. Next slide, please. All right, and next, one more click. BERT, it's just remember that it's called BERT. It's basically about Google getting better at understanding context, right? We need to get away from just writing for the search engines. So when you write content, yes, it has to be optimized for keywords. You know, we have to apply SEO best practices, but we do not just want to write for the search engines. You know, make sure that you write for somebody that would be interested in buying your services or learning more about your you know, company. Next. This is a big one. Actually, one more click. Google already announced that they are launching the next massive algorithm update in May of this year, right? It's coming up in a few months. Actually, one more click, Daniel, please. So this algorithm update is all about, you know, load. Actually, can you do one more click, Daniel, please? There we go. How fast does your website load? You know, how fast will the biggest thing on a page appear? You know, how long will it take for people to take an action? And how long does it take for the entire page to assemble? Daniel, you're a web design pro. Any thoughts about this algorithm update? We're like super busy getting the websites of all of our clients up to speed for this algorithm update. Anything you want to share here?
I think the thing is, you know, the speed of the website and the technical health of the website have always been very important. But now more than ever, Google is actually telling us that this is going to be something that is going to be of utmost importance on their new algorithm update. So it's more important than ever that we're making sure that not only the technical issues of websites are fixed, but the speed of it, right? That's number one. And number two, how fast does someone actually interact with the website? So it's not only about how fast the website's actually coming up on the technical side, but what elements on the page, what calls to actions on the page do we have to make sure that customers are actually going in there and interacting with the website? So these are two things that have always been important, but now more than ever are going to be very important. And because we know this update is coming in May, we're proactively trying to update and fix a lot of these websites before the algorithm goes live and then penalizes websites.
Absolutely. And I'm actually gonna try to share my screen again. This is annoying as heck. So hopefully it will work. Let's see. Sorry about that. This is annoying as can be. Can you see my screen, Daniel?
I can.
All right, let's give this a try here.
Yep, looking good.
Oh my gosh. All right, excellent. And I assume it's also working for you guys on the other end. Okay. Can you see the buyer personas slide?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. So I teach part of a master's degree online for a university in Europe, and my students, I make them first think about, you know, before you start with your SEO strategy, who are the people or the person that you want to get to your website. So I make them complete these buyer persona profiles. I do recommend you do the same thing, right? If you don't do that, you're losing out, right? This is one of the most important things on getting started with your SEO strategy. The better you know who you're targeting, the more successful you'll be. And by the way, there's the link to that template. You're welcome to just make a copy, add it to your Google Drive, and change it as you see fit. All right. So let's, now that we know who we want to get to our website, let's figure out how do these people search in Google for what you have to offer. So we're going to talk about keyword research for SEO. We're also going to take a look how to identify the low-hanging fruit SEO keywords. And Daniel, if you can please continue to admit people into the session here. All right. So keyword research for SEO. We're going to take a look at some tools. What you see here is the screenshot of a tool called SE Ranking. It's one of the tools that we love here at Boulder SEO Marketing. You can do a ton of things with this tool. So if you're looking to invest into a paid tool, that would be a great option. So what you see here are some of the keywords for the Boulder SEO marketing websites, right? We researched keywords that correlate with the services that we offer, SEO packages for small business. We know that this keyword is yielding about 320 searches on a monthly basis. And then we also track the rankings in Google. So rankings will change based on your SEO efforts. So if you are involved in SEO, if you report somebody else, you got to do something like that, right? Because they probably want to know, hey, are our efforts paying off as it relates to search engine optimization? All right. Then let's quickly talk about short tail versus long tail keywords. Very important. When we did the in-person classes, when we got to the keyword research exercise, a lot of our students, they will go for these super short tail keywords like SEO or even Denver SEO, right? That's a short tail keyword. It's not very high intent. It could mean a lot of things to a lot of people. So I do recommend, come up with a mix of short and longer tail keywords. A longer tail keyword would be a keyword of like 3 or more words strung together. For example, Denver SEO services, right? That person, we can already predict he or she may already be, probably looking for services. Compared to Denver SEO, that could mean a lot of different things. Usually long tail keywords, they have a lower search volume, but the search intent is higher. It's less competitive, but it's definitely higher relevant. All right. Let's take a look at Google's Keyword Planner tool. This is one of the best keyword research tools. Why? Because we're getting information directly from Google, okay? In order to get full access or, all the data that we need from this tool, you're gonna have to run a Google.
Chris, I think you're stuck on the keyword research slide still.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh man.
Try to stop sharing and share again. That worked last time.
Okay. This is the first time that I'm having issues. That is so super annoying. Can you see my screen?
No, it says it's still started to share, but nothing showing.
I'm still seeing keyword research.
Oh, okay. Can you see the short tail versus long tail?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Let me, can you see the next slide now, the Google Ads Keyword Planner?
No, I'm seeing the black screen on my end.
Yeah, black screen.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's black screen at my end as well.
All right, back to you, Daniel.
Sounds good.
Right. Man, this is the first time this is happening. Daniel, I'll let you share.
Yep, I got it.
Oh boy. Oh yeah, that's the slide you want to be on. Perfect. If you can go full screen.
You got it.
I'll do the annoying click. All right. So yeah, if you want to, this ultimately is the best keyword research tool, but you do need to run a Google Ads campaign in order to get full access to data. Okay, click. All right. So you put in a seed keyword, Denver SEO, right? It's going to tell you, hey, there's 2,400 people searching for this keyword. Click, please. And then the cool thing is that this tool will then give you, hey, some recommendations. Hey, based on what you're telling me up there, Denver SEO, we think you may also want to go for these keywords. Denver SEO company, Denver SEO expert, agency, etc. Right? As you can see, the search volume is lower, but definitely higher intent. So if you do keyword research yourself, please, please, please do not fall in the short tail keyword trap. It's gonna pay, it could destroy your entire SEO strategy. All right, click. All right, so here is a list of some keyword research tool that you could make part of your arsenal. Click, please. Definitely highly recommend SE Ranking and SEM Scoop. Those are two cool tools. But then, of course, ultimately, Google Keyword Planner is, you know, the best tool because you get information directly from Google. Next. All right, let's talk about low-hanging fruit keywords. Click. Click again. And one more time. And then I'll let you talk a little bit about that. But it's basically, actually, Daniel, why don't you explain, you do a lot of keyword research. What's a low-hanging fruit keyword?
Sure. Low-hanging fruit keywords is what we love the most here at Boulder SEO Marketing. And the reason for that is because anytime that we see one, we know that we're going to be seeing results in a much shorter period of time. And what that means is this, right? We're going to do the keyword research. And the keyword research is done in two kind of steps. Number one, based on your user persona, based on people, what they're searching for, we're going to come up with a list of keywords that we want to rank for. And then we try to find out which keywords are you ranking for already, right? So like Chris said in the beginning, what's the best place to hide a dead body on the internet? Page 2 of Google, because nobody looks over there. But if you're on the top of page 2 of Google, let's say position 12, the effort that it's going to take us to move that keyword to page 1 and then to the top of page 1 is going to be a lot less than trying to get a keyword that's back on page 70 or 80. So low-hanging fruit is going through the exercise, and you can see on the screen here, the column to the right is the actual position of these keywords, right? So we're looking at keywords that are on position 4, like for example, the small business SEO package. There's 210 people that are searching for that, but because it's in position 4, it's not getting as much clicks as it would if it's in position 1 or 2. So our ability to move that from position 4 to position 3 is much easier to do if this was somewhere else in lower pages. So that's what a low-hanging fruit is.
Yeah, and actually click, that was the example that I was going to highlight, but thanks for doing that. So we made a decision. We will primarily focus on taking on clients that do have a good amount of low-hanging fruit keyword opportunities. Why? You know, we're going to be able to help those companies see results faster. It's a strategic decision that we made. Everybody's going to be more happier. You know, they're not going to fire us after 3 months, you know, if they completely start from scratch. So here, we're going to focus on, you know, clients that we really can make a big splash in a relatively short amount of time. All right, next. All right, so let's talk about on-page SEO. Now that we know who we want to get to our website, we know how these people search for what you have to offer. You know, let's put these keywords to work, right? And then also talk about content optimization, meta tags, alt tags, and all that good stuff. Next. All right, click. We're going to talk about something that's called keyword mapping. Okay, if we do not perform keyword research and properly assign 3 or so keywords to each and every page, we're going to confuse the heck out of Google, right? Google is going to arbitrarily make a decision where to send these people to on your website. Click, please. So for each and every page on your website, we're gonna assign 3 closely related target SEO keywords that we're gonna then optimize that page for. Click. One more. All right. So what you see here is an inventory of my personal site. That's all about international, global SEO and digital marketing. As you can click, please. As you can see there, we simply inventoried the entire website. You can do something like this, we'll totally do, describe what it is, then the page title, the URL, and then assign 3 closely related and researched keywords to each and every page. We're going to talk about the title and description tags in a second. Next. All right, let's take a step back. Let's talk about snippets. All right, click, please. If you type something into Google, for example, international SEO training, which happens to be our next webinar. Click, please. Google will display something that is called, the technical term is called a snippet. Next. A snippet consists of, click please, and you can just click through, there's about 8 clicks here, a URL, a title tag, a description tag, then rich snippet content, a few more clicks here. All right, so the URL, make sure add the most important keyword to the URL. Then the title tag should be about 55 to 75 and you can stop there, Daniel. 55 to 75 characters. You want to include your most important keyword for that page. The description tag should be around 150 to 160 characters. Ideally, include the other 2 keywords in that description tag. And then to get those rich snippet content to show, we're going to have to implement schema or apply Google markup. I don't think we're going to get to that in this class, but just Google it and you'll find plenty of information. Next. All right, so meta tags creation. Click, please. All right, so in relation to a page, we want to know the 3 keywords that we're going to optimize this page for. I do recommend simply create a Google Doc or a spreadsheet where you keep track of all your pages of your website. You have everything in one place, right? And then hack away. All right, the meta title tag right there. SEO packages for small business. Then the description tag, what you can read there. We want to get the character count. And if we have an image on that page, we also want to include an image alt tag, ideally a keyword as well. All right, next. Oh, here's the template. You'll get the slides, so you have access to this template as well. Next. All right, you're looking at the back end of the that page, the small business SEO packages article that we wrote. So this is basically the all-in-one SEO plugin. This is where you plug in the meta information. And if you do a good job, Google will display exactly, actually click please, I think a couple of times. Google will show exactly what you plugged into those, plugin there in the snippets. So the better of a job you do, the better your chance that Google will take exactly what you're putting in there. All right, next. Let's talk about content. Content is king. Wrong. Optimized content is king. Next, please. Oh man, not too long ago, before this pandemic hit, I spoke at a conference. It was all about content marketing. All these people were so in love with the content. Nobody spoke about SEO except me. I was truly shocked. So unfortunately, a lot of content will never be seen in Google simply because no SEO is applied. Click, please. Keep in mind, you got to do content marketing as part of your SEO strategy. Content marketing is focused not on selling, but on communicating with your customers and prospects, right? We are in charge. The internet put us consumers in charge. We don't want to be bombarded with, intrusive crap that's, people are pushing on us. Really focus on content that's better than the content currently out there that you need to beat. If you don't do that, your chance of beating that content is very slim. So please, please, please make a mental note. This is probably the most important thing that we can, or like one of the most important things that we can talk about here today. You got to create super high quality content that's also optimized for search. Next. All right, and I think one more click because there we go. Again, there is the link to this template. So we have created this blog post development exercise template. It basically walks you through. It's a little checklist on how to develop search engine optimized content with many of the things that we already discussed in this webinar. Again, we only have a little bit of time here. So are you drawing, Daniel?
No, that's not me.
Oh boy. Cool. Yeah, so please take advantage of this template. It provides a lot of information. Next, please.
This is me, conversion rate optimization.
All right, hack away, please.
Perfect. So conversion rate optimization, I will talk about because a lot of what we do here at Boulder SEO Marketing is search engine optimization, right? And is it important? Absolutely. But it is not the only thing. And it's not the only thing because of two reasons. Reason number one, it doesn't matter how much traffic you bring to the website. If you, as the business owner and the website owner, you're unable to convert that traffic into customers or leads, there's actually no point in trying to generate traffic to the website. And the second part, which is really, really important, is now more than ever, Google's taking something in consideration called social or user signals. How are the users using your website? They want to make sure that they're providing better results of websites that have a great user experience, that have content that is really good. So for example, if your website has a really, really bounce rate, and a bounce rate is when someone actually goes to your website, looks at it, and turns right back around. And I see a lot of websites that come to us that have a bounce rate of like 70%. That means 70% of the people coming into the website turn right back around. If Google sees that there's a bounce rate of 70% on your website, it's not going to put that as a top result because they want to list websites that have a much better engagement, right? So that's why CRO plays such a big piece of the puzzle when it comes to generating traffic and converting traffic. So, when we bring in traffic, what's happening to the traffic? Is it bouncing? Are they engaging with the website? And are they eventually converting on the website? So CRO is really the practice of raising the conversion by compelling the visitors to take specific actions on the website. And they could be to buy a product, download a PDF, submit a form. I'm going to give you an example of the power of CRO. And I always say that CRO is probably one of the best, most cost-effective ways to get great results. For example, let's say that your website today has 10,000 visitors a month coming into the website, right? And you have a bounce rate of 60%, which is pretty average, actually. I see a lot of websites with that bounce rate coming in, if not more. That means that from the 10,000 visitors, you have 4,000 people that are actually entering the website. And if you have a conversion rate of 1%, which is pretty common as well, you're converting about 40 leads. Let's say that we want to almost double those leads. Let's say that we want to get to 75 leads a month. If you want to do that with the exact website that you have, what you need to do is you need to actually double the amount of traffic that you have coming into the website. You would need about 19,000 visitors a month to be able to convert 75 leads. And if you've ever tried working on increasing the traffic of your website, you know that doubling the website traffic is a very hard process. It's going to be time consuming. It's going to be expensive. But if you do some conversion rate optimization on the website and still you're bringing in 10,000 visitors a month, but instead of a 60% bounce rate, we do some tweaks on the homepage and we add some elements in there. Now, all of a sudden, we decrease the bounce rate to 50%. We have 5,000 people entering the website instead of the 4,000. And if we're able to increase the conversion rate from 1% to 1.5%, which again, not very hard to do, all of a sudden we're generating 75 leads. That exercise of conversion rate optimization that I just talked about is probably a 2 to 3 month period. In 2 to 3 months, without having to spend any more time or effort or money into generating new traffic, just by doing some A/B tests, all of a sudden you're converting twice the amount of leads, right? Now, is conversion rate optimization a good fit for every website? Absolutely no. The one thing that you must have on a website to be a good candidate for conversion rate optimization is traffic, right? Because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using traffic to analyze different versions of the website to make sure to see what's working better. If your website just got launched and you only have 100 visitors a month, well, then conversion rate optimization is something that you're going to have to wait for. But if you have at least a couple thousand visitors a month coming into the website, conversion rate optimization is definitely going to be a good fit. Now, how do we do conversion rate optimization? You know, a big question that I always get is, I have a picture of, of a family on the home page of my website. I heard that if you put a picture of a baby, people are going to relate with that baby a lot more and they're going to convert better. Is that true? I'm like, I don't know, because, what works for one site doesn't work for the other. But the way that we find out is we'll run one example of the homepage with the family picture and another example with the baby picture, and we'll run them side by side and compare to see which one is going to have a better result. So essentially, we're going to have page A, option A, which is the original homepage. And then on option B, we just simply change the picture of the baby on there. And then through one of the systems that we use, we get the visitors and we send half of the visitors to option A and half of the visitors to option B. And we let it run, sometimes for a week, sometimes for 2 weeks. And all of a sudden we see, okay, the bounce rate or the engagement rate or the conversion or whatever it is that we're testing for that page, we can compare the results and say, whoa, wait a second, the baby works much better. You were right. Then we make the baby the actual one page that's live on the website. And then we jump on to another A/B test. And that's how A/B testing works. You continue to do A/B tests and then choosing the winner and making that the winner. And over time with that process, you're decreasing the bounce rate and increasing the conversion rate of the website. So when you do a conversion rate optimization, which is actually a lot of fun, right? And once you get into it, and I'll show you why it's fun, but there's essentially 4 steps to it. One, you have to find out where the problem is. And the problem, which is quantitative, you usually see inside Google Analytics. You're looking at the numbers and seeing, okay, where are my issues? What's my bounce rate? What page has a very high exit rate? What's my conversion rate? It's very low. So once you figure out a problem, let's say, an easy one is, bounce rate on the homepage. You go, okay. So then step number 2 is, what is it that we're trying to achieve? Well, we try to eliminate the bounce rate by giving them something to consume or something for them to click on. Then we say, okay, well, what's the problem? We say, all right, well, then the hypothesis comes in. And the hypothesis is when everybody sits, in the team and look at the homepage and say, I think the problem is this, and I think the problem is we don't have a baby picture on there. And then we say, okay, well, this is what we think the problem is. And then we run the CRO. We create a B version, we run the test, we analyze the results, and then there's a winner. So the first step is, where is the problem? Usually we want to try to prioritize the pages that are most important pages. Homepage, probably the first one that we're going to test. Top entry page. If the homepage is not the top entry page, you might have a service page that brings in the majority of your traffic. That's the page that you want to make sure that you're going on, because a fix that you can do on that page is going to affect the highest number of people to the website. Then the second one is template pages, right? Which are the pages that if you make a change, it'll automatically update several pages on the website. And then we move down to most visited pages, the top exit pages. Why is that important? Because we don't want people to exit the page, right? Do we want to give them something else to do, a downloadable asset, maybe a call to action to convert, and then top converting pages and other important pages. Once you figure out where the problem is, then you say, what is the goal of that page? On this page, do I want to decrease the bounce rate? Do I want to increase the engagement or increase website conversions? Once you know what the goal is, then you say, okay, this is where the fun begins. What are the things that we need to change on this page to really make it a better page? So probably the one that we see the best results with is usually the value proposition, right? What is it that we're promoting or proposing? How do we differentiate ourselves from the competition? How do we help solve the pain points that you're having? A lot of times changes on that, real message that you're communicating will do a huge difference on how people engage to the website. Then we ask, what's the relevance? Is this what people are asking for? The clarity, is the page busy? Are we communicating very easily? Then we go to anxiety and then distraction and then sometimes urgency. Is there a certain urgency that we need to put on the page to make sure that people take action immediately instead of saying, no, I'll get back to this later. So these are different things that we would, test. So an example, a real life example on our Boulder SEO marketing. Let's say that, I'm looking at our bounce rate and our bounce rate is really high on the homepage. And that's what our homepage looks like. The first thing I would say is common practice, and one thing that everyone here today should check is make sure that you have a strong call to action above the fold on the homepage. And the reason being is a big part of the people that come to the website will not scroll down and will not look very hard to where they need to go. And that usually transforms into a high bounce rate. So based on experience on variation B, we're going to say, okay, well, let's add, a big call to action in the middle of the page and maybe a big call to action on a navigation and see how that does. And if we run this test, which this is an example test, but I can guarantee you if we ran Control A versus Control B would have a much lower bounce rate. So immediately we would launch the variation B page as the actual live page on the website. And then we would go on to another A/B test. So for the majority of the websites that we work on conversion rate optimization, which is a big part of the projects we work on, we're consistently running A/B tests. Every month we're testing something to see if we can increase the engagement, increase the conversion, and always decrease that bounce rate on specific pages. So again, if you have any questions, and there's a lot here, I know, if you have any questions that I can answer, please, put them on the chat window and I can definitely get to those at the end of the presentation.
Cool. Thanks so much, Daniel. All right. Let's quickly talk about the importance of technical SEO. Again, as mentioned earlier in this presentation, there's a massive Google algorithm update coming up in May. It's called Core Web Vitals. Get on it now. If you need help with this, we're here to help if we can. But let's talk about how important this is to get your technical SEO stuff in order. Next, please. All right, there is no shortage of tools out there that we can run a website through. We usually use several tools to assess a website, and they also unleash our technical team on a website to do manual evaluations. Basically, we need to find, what are the major errors, what are the warnings, what are the notices, and then, Daniel, right, we just prioritize, what's going to make the biggest impact in terms of fixing these things. Actually, click one more, and then I'll let you quickly talk about that. So it's pillar 1 and 2, right, where this stuff is not rocket science, but you need to know how to fix it. It truly is the low-hanging fruit SEO opportunity to, comply with Google's demands. Daniel, a few words?
Yeah, no, and then again, there's different systems that will generate different results and different kind of reports. But most of the time, when you're looking at a report like this, they're separated into errors, warnings, and notices. errors are most likely things that you're getting penalized on. So these are things that need to be addressed yesterday. And for the most part, when you fix the errors, which are the red items, a lot of times you see a little bump in search engine results, because then you're no longer getting penalized. Warnings are things that are very important as well. You might be getting penalized and you might not, but are must fixes as well, right? So that's kind of the second layer of priorities going into the warnings. And a lot of times you see 9,879, you're like, oh my God, it's going to take, 6 months to get through all of this. But a lot of these fixes sometimes are global fixes where you fix something and it automatically fixes all the pages. So sometimes it's not as bad as it looks when you see these high numbers. And then notices are, good to have, but not necessarily things that must be done. And again, it's on a case by case scenario. But that's how essentially we're looking at prioritizing, fixing issues that get reported in this format.
Yeah, and we usually tackle that in phase 1, potentially 2 of our project cycle, right?
Correct. And then, this is what we call foundational work. There's no point in trying to create a lot of content and making yourself an expert on the industry and creating blog posts if the foundation isn't set. So, phase 1 and phase 2 of our process is really making sure that all of the technical issues are worked out, all of the on-page optimization is solid. And then we always compare it a lot to building a house, right? So this is really creating a foundation that's going to be super, doing all of the ongoing kind of content afterwards. It's actually built on top of a solid foundation instead of seeing a lot of that kind of sink into the ground, which would happen if, a lot of these errors are still here. You wouldn't be getting traction for a lot of the work that you're doing afterwards. So this is stuff that really needs to be done in the beginning of the project.
Yeah, cool. Next. And one more. All right, so here's a list of tools that you should be using as part of your technical and functional SEO improvement efforts. Again, SE Ranking, awesome tool. They just improved their site audit function. We love it. It's a great addition to the manual work that we do when it comes to technical and functional SEO. You guys will get the slides, so I do recommend play around with these tools. Next. All right, real quick introduction to off-page SEO. I love doing off-page optimization. You can really outsmart your competitors and take away spots in the SERPs, push down your competition. Click real quick, please. As you can see there, a real customer example where we optimized, LinkedIn entities such as company pages and showcase pages to get them listed high in Google, and they will drive traffic to your website. It's usually also a highly converting traffic. So it truly is an awesome strategy. Unfortunately, we don't have time to cover this in depth, but I'm thinking about doing a standalone webinar on off-page optimization alone. Next. Yeah, here's the magic of off-page SEO. Again, if you do a search for SEO training Denver, we got the first 2 organic search results, then a first competitor, then click, please. And one more. And one, actually, I think 2 more. Yeah, right there, look at that. LinkedIn showcase page, SEO training, and an about.me page. Let's take a look at these 2 off-page entities real quick. Next. Man, Daniel, I love telling you what to do. There we go. So on the left-hand side, you see the about.me page. That's me speaking, I think, in Greece. Eventually, when you click on visit my company page or these links, it will take you over to where you can sign up for our webinars. So that is an awesome strategy to get more people to your website. Next. All right, let's quickly talk about reporting. So somebody just asked, are these free trainings? So we do the webinars for free. I mean, I'm not going to lie, they're great lead generators. We usually get a lot of clients out of these because people see how, you know, involved SEO has become. But I do get paid to speak globally, and I love it. I usually get to bring my wife, so it's you know, it's a great thing to do for me. One more click, please. Whatever you do, make sure track something. You know, you can use a tool where you have a dashboard, or you can plug in information into a Google Doc. You can share that with your higher ups, but just keep an eye on, you know, make sure that what you are actually doing is paying off, such as getting more people through organic search traffic to your website, you know, decreased bounce rates, etc., etc. You can track, like, there's no limit, right? Don't go crazy, just track what realistically makes sense, what your higher ups want to see. Maybe that's 2 or 3 things, maybe that's 10 things, but there's no shortage of data, next, that you can pull from tools such as, you know, even the social media platforms, right? Maybe that's important to your higher ups, but definitely you know, Google Analytics, Search Console, SE ranking, they provide like data down the road. Just don't get overwhelmed. We provide our information with the data they need and want, and basically to show them, look, we increased the organic traffic. We got you from page 3 to page number 1 for this keyword. You know, it increased conversion by X amount. So very important. Yeah, with that being said, next. That's us. My name is Chris Ralph, and then Daniel Burns. He's the clicker. Daniel, why don't we stop sharing and actually show our faces? And then I do know we have a lot of questions here. So we do have just about 15 minutes of questions. Why don't we dive right into it? All right, so please, at this point, again, sorry for the technical issues. I think it could have been worse. It worked out at the end. Let's take a question from Esther. So if you have any questions, just plug them into the chat interface there. Esther, is it better to focus on one audience group, or can you work with 2 groups with different attributes? So we have 3 webinars that we run like once a month, so every quarter. It's about intro to SEO, Google Ads, pay-per-click, and international SEO. That's like stuff that we do, right? So whatever you can handle, do that. But you're gonna have to develop a very specific strategy for each of these audiences. I hope that makes sense. All right. Millie, let me see. Yes, we have various audiences, groups we want to attract. How does that impact on SEO efforts, persona profiles? Same answer, basically. You really have to sort of like develop silos on your website, create very specific content around each audience for each SEO strategy. I would say if you just get started with SEO, pick one first. It does take time. I don't want you to get discouraged and don't see results. With our clients, we usually focus on the low-hanging fruit opportunities where they already rank well for a certain set amount of keywords, and then we go all in, get them results, and then we're going to tackle the next audience. Daniel, right? Any insight?
Yeah, I mean, a good example of that is the example that you showed, which is the, you know, SEO for small businesses, right? So the SEO for small businesses page is going to be a completely different audience than maybe, you know, the homepage or some of the other ones, because it's geared towards maybe a small business owner. So the reason the kind of user persona and all of that research is really, really important is twofold. Number one, make sure that the, you know, keywords that we're going after are accurate, but not even more important is once they actually click on that page and they land on the small business SEO page, we need to make sure that there's messaging in there that really communicates to the small business owner, right? Which is different than someone that's looking for SEO training or SEO. So that's why that persona really plays kind of a dual importance, right? On how we outreach and then how do we communicate with them once they land on the website.
Yeah. Let me see. Leland, is there an upper limit for keywords per page, either short tail or long tail? We go usually for 3 keywords, no more than 5. That's my recommendation. Otherwise, you're not going to swim between the lanes anymore. It's tempting to go for too many keywords, but then you're going to confuse the heck out of Google. Just keep it very narrow. That'd be my recommendation. Then let me see, Cynthia, I'm actually developing my website, and obviously I chose not to show it on SE. I installed Yoast SEO plugin and customized it. Shall I activate it? My doubt is, how can I help? How can it help me with SEO before I will subscribe my website to Google? So it sounds like you may have not submitted it already to the index through Google Search Console. I think that's how I understand the question. Yeah, I would say, so if it's not live yet, make sure to properly optimize everything on the back end. Set up Google Search Console. That's one of the best tools for you to communicate directly with Google. Make sure you upload the, the sitemap, and then, unleash your website to the world, and, you will start to get traffic, analyze that traffic, the keywords you're ranking for, make tweaks. So it's like an ongoing game. I hope that answers your question. All right. Does click-through count as engagement? Does clicking through, pictures, does clicking through pictures count as engagement? Good question. Basically, if it keeps people on your website, yes, that's great. It's also an engagement. And I mean, there's many different ways how to, what that could mean, right? But basically, the more engaged the people that get to your website, with your website, the better. So, yeah, if you can keep them on your website through images, I would say, job well done. Let me see. My website does not have any useful keyword. Actually, it has my name, like the Chris Ralph website, right? It's going to be more difficult to scale SEO ranking. That's a question. Or can it be enough? Put the right keywords in the description. It doesn't matter. Yeah, many people, like consultants, they have a website with their own name. Just apply, use the keywords in the meta tags, in the content, etc. Google will start to understand what the website is about once you start to create this high quality content that's optimized for search engines. Then, Daniel, how do you find out your bounce rate? Just briefly talk about analytics, what it is.
Yeah, so one thing that everybody should have installed on their website is Google Analytics and Google Search Console. So those are 2 tools that Google provides for free for anybody to install on there. Google Analytics and Search Console give you a lot of information. But if I had to say probably the most important information to look at on Google Analytics, you can easily, as soon as you log in there, see the bounce rate, see the time that people spend on the website, see how much traffic you're getting. The most important KPIs you're going to pick up from Google Analytics. And then you can dive in and look at a lot more information. Google Search Console, on the other hand, is very important because it's a place where Google actually tells you which errors you're getting penalized on. And it's a very clear list of these are the things that you need to fix on the website. And when you fix those things, they automatically get cleared off of Search Console. And those are things that Google was penalizing you on. And then now that, you usually get a little bump of results. So those two tools are probably the first things that you want to make sure you have access to.
And then Daniel, there's a lot of questions about your portion conversion rate optimization. So I think we need to do this standalone webinar about conversion rate optimization sooner than later. A couple of questions. Are you testing more than one area at one time? And then how do you find the conversion rate?
Yeah, so good question. So A/B testing means you're testing A with B. So we're always using, there's something else called multivariate testing. So there's people or companies that like to do ABC testing, ABCD testing, meaning that they're testing different things on different pages. The rule of thumb to make things simple is that on any one test, you want to test only one thing. You don't want to change an image, a headline, and a button on the same test, because then if you get a higher and better result, you don't know which of those elements is the one. So you always want to test one thing. Depending on how much traffic you have, and you have enough traffic to split that traffic into 3 pages instead of 2, then absolutely you can have the original page. On one page test the red button, and on the other page test a green button, and then see which buttons. Now you need a tool to do A/B testing. Optimizely is a good example of a really easy tool. Google also has a very good tool. Optimizely will allow you to have your page, allow you to create the second page, and then it'll give you really easy metrics to understand on the bottom in terms of, the bounce rate, the engagement rates. It's a very easy comparison. And again, like Chris said, once we do a conversion rate optimization webinar, we can actually go into those tools and do some real life examples to really understand how that works. But on that note, the reason I said that it's so much fun to do conversion rate optimization is because usually we get the people around, we look at that page, and everyone has a different idea of what they think is going to make that page work better. And once we actually run the test, we're always looking at the numbers to see who's winning. So it's almost like, betting on a horse race. We're always trying to see if what we thought was the thing that would make a difference is the one that's going to win. So it's actually a cool activity to do, which has great results on the website.
Cool. Then let me see. How can we drive traffic so we can use them to SEO? Well, I think the overall point is that you need a certain amount of traffic to actually, for this conversion rate optimization to be meaningful. So if you only get, 2, 3, 4, 500 people to your website on a monthly basis, probably not the right fit right now, but definitely for bigger websites. We work with larger e-commerce websites where even the smallest thing can make a big difference in how much units they're going to sell at the end of the day. Then, Angela, does the software, I think you're referring to SE ranking, the site audit that we showed, does the software identify each error? And how do you know how to fix them? Good question. So we use multiple tools. We run them on the website, but then we also have a technical team that will manually audit the website. These tools, they provide guidelines on how to fix this stuff, but if you're not in technical SEO, you may not get it right 100%. So it's definitely, it's like, if you have a minor scratch playing soccer, or if you fall down, you can put a Band-Aid on, clean it out, right? But for more like a broken hand or something like that, you'll probably go to the doctor. So in that case, somebody like us would be the doctor that could help fix that correctly.
Yeah, and on that note, Chris, real quick, there's, these automated tools, they are automated. They don't have the ability to really kind of deep in a little dive. So one of the things I really find out is that when we run these reports, even SE ranking, is they fall into 4 buckets, right? Bucket number 1, it's something that's simple and you can do through the CMS. Bucket 2 is something that's complicated. And then, we're going to have to hire a programmer to go in there and change the code. Bucket number 3 is something that it flags, but it's really not an issue, because it's flagging something that it's not necessarily an issue. And then bucket number 4 is something that it flags, it's an issue, but it can't be fixed. For example, Shopify, right? We're dealing with the Shopify website right now. The speed issue is a major problem with the technical, but the reason, the theme that they selected on Shopify will not allow us to go in there and make changes to it. So, it's something that we just have to cross off as non-doable. So although that list is given to you, you still have to categorize what's possible, what's not, and then who does what of the possible stuff.
And then we still have a lot of questions. We're at the end. If you're okay, let's go ahead and answer a few more questions.
Sure.
If you guys have to bolt, you will get the link to the recording so you can catch up on the Q&A when you get the recording. Josh Kern, great question. Do you have any tips for young people thinking of getting into SEO? Hey, shoot me an email. I developed a self-paced online SEO and digital marketing course. Just give me a little bit of background information about you. Either I'll give you a deal or I'll give you free access to that training. That's basically how I learned SEO. It's an awesome field to be in. We're busy as can be right now. So the more good talent we have, the better. Yeah, so please send me an email and then we'll take it from there. I'd love to help if I can. What's your basic cost for the service? So we start at $1,500 per month for local SEO, and then our sweet spot is about $2,000 to $5,000 per month for national SEO strategies, and then $5,000 and higher for international SEO. That's what it takes. Don't go with a cheap offshore vendor. We may have a few here on this call, but I've been doing this forever, so I know what it takes, and you get what you pay for. Sheila, we are a small nonprofit with limited dollars. We have a website. How should we best spend our SEO budget? I'd love to take a look at the website. If you also want to shoot me an email or respond to when I sent a link or one of the earlier emails, I'll take a look at the site and maybe I can provide a few tips on how I would allocate the budget that you have available. So it really depends, right? Bruce, is there any difference in the strategy needed in generating traffic to a website that's simply dependent on engagement, to listen to voiceover samples compared to a website that is more focused on generating commercial traffic, for example, to buy items that you're selling? Let me think about this for a second. I don't think so. I mean, it's going to be a little bit of a different strategy using different keywords. There's probably more longer tail keywords to get people to, consume your voice over samples. It's probably very specific long tail keywords. So yes, I think there's probably a difference in the strategy, but it's something I would have to take a look at as well. So I'm not able to answer that question 100%. Are the recommended long-tailed keywords exact or phrase? Long tail, I mean, there are exact and often they're phrases. Daniel, if you briefly want to talk about, like the really long tail keywords that we then use as blog post titles, how does that work?
Yeah. So a big part of our strategy is creating, for example, the main keywords for a specific page, right? So SEO training in Denver. And then when we do that research, we're going to find that there's all of these other great long tail keywords, like, for example, the best SEO training course, the best training course in Denver, or sentences like that. And what we do is once we actually have a main page that's really optimized and focused on that short-term keyword, what we do is we like to create pages around that are either going to be a blog page or an article page that are linking back with this long tail keyword. And what that does is it continues to support the main page keyword optimization, but then it also starts ranking for these longer tail keywords. So, a lot of the websites that we see the most success with are keywords that are not ranking really well for 2 or 3 competitive keywords, are ones that are ranking really well for low search, but long tail keywords, but a lot of long tail keywords. So it's really creating this kind of bigger strategy of supporting long tail keywords that are on part of this kind of main pillar, more competitive short tail keyword, page.
Cool. Should name of your business and your location be in the keywords? For big brands, it could make sense. For small business, no. You don't want to go, like even with us, Boulder ST Marketing, I would not use that as a keyword, given we use keywords in our company name. But no, you want to be found for, you know, best pizza in Boulder, Colorado, or like, you know, top rated something in Denver, you know, dog walker in Louisville, Colorado, stuff like that. But yeah, don't include your business name as part of your keywords. Then why don't we take, let me see, a couple more questions here. For someone who is new to this, what would be a couple of metrics or areas to focus on right away that would get short-term results? I would use a tool such as SE Ranking to identify your low-hanging fruit keyword opportunities. There may be 1, 2, 3, 4 pages that are already doing well, you know, for certain keywords, and just re-optimize those pages, put a nice call to action on it, and just try to get those pages to the top for a set of keywords. That'd be my recommendation. Let's see. If you add photos with keywords, is that another way Google finds you? Is Shopify Analytics duplicate information from Google? I definitely do recommend always add an image alt tag, because you'll show up in potentially image search in Google. Daniel, is Shopify Analytics duplicate information from Google Analytics?
It should be, but it isn't. I mean, theoretically, both Google Analytics and Shopify should give you accurate, you know, numbers on who's visiting, and so forth. But I find it that a lot of times it's slightly different, but it's close enough that it's that, you know, both are going to be, you know, close enough to accurate. Shopify will give you a lot more information on actual on-page experience. You know, what products are being, you know, looked at the most, what are the best-selling products. So both are very important, I think. You can program you can program analytics to give you all the information that you get from Shopify, but the Shopify reporting section just gives you all of that information right off the box.
Cool. With that being said, thanks so much for dealing with the technical issues that we had. I'm glad it was no worse. Yeah, well, I'll send a follow-up email with the recording to this presentation, the link to the slides. And if you need help with this, we're happy to talk to you about SEO. Daniel, thanks so much. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining our presentation. We'll see you soon. Stay safe and healthy and have a wonderful week. Thanks, Daniel.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Stop the recording later. Bye.